actually we start at the beginning of the semester with we go opposite. We start older and go younger throughout the course. So like in December we'll be studying toddlers. So it's interesting. So it's still kind of toward the beginning. So we're still working on 50 and up right now. So
Okay.
all right, are you ready?
Yeah, that's recording.
Oh wow. Okay. I gotta pull up my questions. Quick.
I'm excited for dinner on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Dinner at Biaggi's.
I don't think he knows
Oh,
about
you
it.
got the
My bad.
We were planning.
I don't think we know about it.
We were planning. We were starting to plan.
Biaggi's for your
For
birthday.
dinner for your birthday.
At Biaggi's.
All right.
Unless you get in the hospital.
So, Grandpa, say hello. State your name.
Officially,
Yes.
I'm Grandpa.
Your grandpa? And Grandma, what's your name?
Mary Helen Barker Corbett.
Nice to meet you both. What year were you guys born? Sorry, Annie.
No, go ahead. I was gonna ask that.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
just now.
I was born June 7th, 1934.
October 22nd, 1932.
all right, Annie.
All right.
Obviously, I'm going to have a quick birthday.
Yes.
Very soon. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna start out at the very beginning, of course.
Okay.
Childhood. What's your earliest memory, each of you?
My earliest memory? Gosh. My earliest memory was getting in trouble for making mud pies at the side of the house. I still remember that.
Oh wow, how old were you?
Oh, I must have been pretty young. About 3 years old, I bet.
Oh.
3 or 4.
Wow.
So, do you have did you want just me or
Both of you, yeah.
I don't know, just my mother.
What do you remember?
She took care of me.
Do you remember what you did growing up?
She took care of me.
Taking care of it. That's a good memory.
She took real good care of me.
Mm-hmm.
Was she a stay-at-home mom? Was she a stay-at-home mom?
No, she worked.
She worked.
Did she
That's
work
why
with-
I think she
Well, how old
tried
were
to
you?
compensate by working because she did everything else that she could possibly do. She was very, very helpful.
How old were you when she started working?
Oh, I don't ever remember not working.
So what did she do with you during the day when she was at work? What'd she do with you during the day when she was at work?
We had black ladies.
Oh,
Lucindy, what's her name, huh?
I don't know her.
She's one.
that's
That
awesome.
was her name, and she was the mother as well.
Oh, wow. Did she bring her kids over?
No,
Okay.
she came every day. I don't know why she. Mom worked or didn't do much good work when she had to pay somebody.
Wow, that's crazy. Have you ever seen the movie The Help?
Yes.
Is it similar to that? That's cool.
Wow.
That's neat. I didn't know that.
What? I don't know if you said this already. What did your mom do?
She worked at a distillery.
Okay.
They bottled whiskey.
Wow.
The whiskey was ready.
Kentucky.
They had to bottle.
Mm-hmm. Kentucky
Was it
bourbon.
the same distillery all that time when she worked at, was it Brown?
Not from National Distillers.
National.
Louisville.
National Distillers.
In Louisville.
I think they had, their most popular one was, what was it? Old Granddad?
I don't know.
But it was a good, big distillery. Mom and Dad both worked there.
Wow.
They drove to work together.
That's crazy. How long did the black woman raise you for? Like till you were how old?
I'm sorry.
How long did she watch you for? Like how old were you when she stopped coming over? That whatever her name was, Lucy or
Listen,
Lucin?
how old were you when she quit babysitting you or watching you?
Lucinda?
Mm-hmm.
She also helped around the house, kept it clean and cooked for us, I think.
Wow.
So even after I was big enough to kind of take care of myself, she was still there.
Wow.
She was, and we loved her with a passion.
Yeah.
And what you see in the movies is probably true.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Did you keep in touch? Did you keep in touch with her?
No, I didn't.
No.
I guess Mom did,
Your
but I'm
family.
not sure.
Okay.
That's why we need her.
Well, my mom was stay-at-home until the Depression. So she got a job then. So
Okay.
my dad and mom both worked during the Depression. So they said they had it easier during that time than any other time because they both had jobs.
Okay.
And a lot of people didn't have jobs then.
You know, the Depression was really, really difficult for the people who didn't work, but it was fine for the people who worked.
Mm-hmm.
They were making good money.
Well,
I mean, making $3 an hour, but they were still making good money.
yeah.
They can live off of it very well. But the Depression was hard on people who didn't work, real hard.
So, how old were each of you when the Depression hit? You were pretty young.
Well, I was born in 19. We were born right in the middle of the Depression,
Okay.
weren't we?
I can't remember.
The Depression. What were the years of the Depression? It was 19.
Well, the Depression actually went from 29 when it started
1929
until the war started,
Yeah. Okay.
to the
everybody-
40s.
and that was 1941, and that stopped the Depression.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a hell of a note to reason to have a stop the Depression, but it did.
Yeah, I got the
War.
economy going.
That's true.
I got the economy
That's
going.
true.
Yeah.
So we were born during the Depression.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you remember when World War II started, like Pearl Harbor? Do you remember being shocked or hearing about that? Or
We used to sit around the radio. I remember sitting around the radio with my mom and dad when the war started, and I remember President Roosevelt saying, "There's nothing to fear but fear itself."
Hmm.
Wow.
It's pretty profound.
But I didn't
Still
agree with
rings
that.
true.
'Cause they would probably come bomb us, and that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There is a couple of things you could probably fear. A little healthy dose of fear.
Well, I have a memory of sitting out on the front porch. We used to have those civil defense practices,
Like,
and you had to have all your lights out. All of them had to be out. And I remember sitting out on the front porch with my mom, and the civil defense guy came by, and I said, "The moon is so bright." He says, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to go out there and tie a diaper around that moon."
what?
Because I was real little.
Oh, that's really cute. What were you like, whoa?
Yeah, the moon was too bright.
That's your first question. I was 9 years old when the war started.
Yeah.
So I could remember, I know all about it. And didn't affect us any. I don't know why not. But, of course, you know, I had two uncles die in the war. My mother's brother and my dad's brother. And he was the youngest one my dad's brother was the youngest one in the family. And he was able to stay home for a little while because he was taking care of his mother and father. But they eventually got him, and they made Uncle Jeff one of the older brothers come back home to take care of them,
Oh, they did.
and he went to the war. Then he got killed on Iwo Jima, which is a well-known battle, and he died on a ship.
He
and
was buried at
at
sea, yeah.
Oh, wow.
My grandmother,
sad.
she took that to her death, to her grave.
So sad.
She died of death every time.
You know what I remember too about the war was how things were rationed. Sugar was rationed, you know. You don't have a certain, Mom would have just a certain amount of tickets that she could go and get things. So they were rationing food.
Did you feel deprived, or was it enough?
Well, I was too young to realize
Okay.
whether I just,
I don't think we never were deprived, were we?
I don't
think so.
remember being
Okay.
deprived.
I don't think we were deprived.
Especially with all your siblings, you'd think that you would need a lot of tickets.
I remember when the war was over.
Yeah.
I was out front and about a block and a half down there was a railroad track, and then there was a lot of soldiers on those trains, and when the war was over the whistles were all blowing and the soldiers got off the train and started marching the streets, and I saw this lady stick her head out the car and saying, "It's over, it's over," and my mom was screaming, "Mary Helen, go to the store and get a stamp so I can mail a letter to Norman while the whistles are blowing," because my brother was in the Navy.
Aw.
So, so I had to run to the store to get a stamp.
How old were you?
Oh gosh, how old was I when the war was over?
45? So
Well, I
like
was 45.
So I
we
was
were
born in
driving.
34. I was 11.
Wow.
I was Logan's age. I ran to the store to get a stamp.
We had 3 brother-in-laws on her family in the war. Everyone one of them went to the Philippines,
They were in the Navy in
and
the
they
Philippines.
all went to the Philippines. And did they not know each other at all? Norman and Larry,
Knew each other. They didn't know Eddie that bad.
but they didn't know Eddie.
And
And Eddie's
they knew him
wife,
later, of course. It was Shirley's
Shirley's
husband.
husband.
Okay.
So they were all in Philippines.
And he just went to Chicago with, what's it called?
I'm not sure it's where they take the military. No, they went to Washington D.C.
One went up in the morning and came back at night, and they
Where
went,
they take the World War II soldiers
Veterans.
to Washington D.C.
That's
Veterans.
Oh, one of those honor
Yeah.
flights.
Honor flight.
Did
Yeah,
just
he
go?
went there.
Oh.
He and his brother and his son,
Mhm.
because Reggie was in the Vietnam War.
Wow. So all of this had happened before you guys knew of each other. You met pretty young, but all of that
Yeah,
was,
we met young. Yeah,
but all of that
I was about
before.
15, I guess.
Oh, 15. So 4 years later.
I have a question about the war again. Do you know anything about what happened to your mom's brother?
all I know about him was he was a medic, and he was, was actually killed when he shouldn't have been, because he was wearing a Red Cross.
Yeah.
But he was killed in the Philippines as well.
Wow. And your Jim, your brother, went in the service, but only briefly, right?
He went up to Camp Atterbury, which is a camp just south of Indianapolis, and so we had to go up to see him, because the first week he was gone, and damn if he didn't stay there, and he come home every weekend. We was tired of looking at him. We wanted him to do something good.
Now, my sister's husband was her
Sorry,
boyfriend
I just
at
gotta
the time.
play with lighting real quick. You
Okay.
keep talking.
It was her boyfriend at the time, but they married when he got home. But he was in the Bataan Death March. So he was in the Japanese prisoner of war for the whole 4 years of the war.
Wow.
Yeah, he said it was pretty bad.
What's it?
I'm just
They
playing with
lived in a
lighting.
cave,
Okay, that's not it.
and he said when the war was over that the Japanese soldiers just left him. And they had to wait there until they found him.
was in a prisoner for 4
The whole
years.
4 years.
Yeah, they said they didn't have enough artillery, so they had to surrender. Where was that? Where was the?
Baton.
Yeah, Baton.
He was in
He
the
was,
famous.
there was a famous
Mhm.
Baton Death March,
Right.
and he was involved with that.
And he didn't talk about it all when he got home for years. The only time he started talking about it is when he joined that group
Mhm.
of prisoners of war, and then he would start talking about it then. And they used to come to Indianapolis all the time for the group get-togethers for years. But Martina went to church every morning, praying for him. Every morning.
Did she know? She knew
She didn't know where he
she
was.
didn't know the whole time. Wow.
I think she eventually knew he was a prisoner, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how they communicated then.
Yeah. I guess a couple other questions I had about growing up. How did your parents and family impact your childhood and any other influential adults in your life? Do you have any mentors or people in the neighborhood who you looked up to or hung out with that weren't part of your family?
I think it was, not part of my family.
Part of
Yeah.
or not. It's
Well,
kind
my
of two
mother
questions
was, she was a good example to all of
Yeah.
us. She really was,
in one.
yeah.
Well, it's hard to describe somebody's personality, but can
Yeah.
you talk about what your parents were like, personality-wise?
Well, my mother was ladylike.
Mhm.
She wasn't a real coarse woman. She was very ladylike. Wouldn't you say?
What's that?
Mom was more ladylike. She
Oh, yeah.
wasn't, and she wouldn't let us behave any way at the table and things like that, even though we had a large family. We had 11 children. So, but by the time the younger ones came along, the older ones were out of the house. So we never had all 11 of us living together at one time. So, I know Juanita lived with my oldest she lived with my older sister Martina during the war.
Well, you had,
Martina lived with Juanita.
when I met you, they had 8 in the house.
Yeah.
Shirley was the oldest in the house,
Mhm.
and your mom was second.
And remember what a cut up Juanita was? She'd come visit and I was dating you, and she would start all color things, and I wanted to hide under the kitchen table. And Juanita, I'm just dating this guy. She was a character.
Very funny.
Oh yeah, she was very funny. Yeah.
Were you really close with any of your siblings, particularly either of you?
Well, I would say we were pretty close to all of us. I mean,
Okay.
really. I know Shirley and I were always pretty close. We used to do the dishes, one would wash, one would dry, and we would pretend like we were on the radio. And we'd do a broadcast the whole time we were doing dishes.
So funny.
That's awesome.
Because we didn't have a TV till
Yeah.
I was 14 or 15 years old, I bet. We just
I
had the
think I
radio.
won in 51.
Yeah.
Which
They weren't very good either. They
you were
weren't.
like
It was all
16
standing.
about 16 years old before you had one.
Yeah. There probably wasn't much on TV at that time either. I
3
wouldn't think.
stations,
Huh?
about 4 stations.
Oh, were there? Oh,
Did
okay.
you still listen to the radio mostly though at that time?
You had the,
There was more sociability back then. We were out doing things.
you had to
It was
because there was
just-
nothing else to do.
Yeah.
I remember being real young playing games outside with the kids in the neighborhood. Playing hide and seek and Red Rover or Dare You Over, and all those games.
There was a lot
So-
more of like the adults, maybe playing getting together for card
Yeah.
games
Mhm.
a lot is what I
Yeah, my
remember.
mom and dad played cards. I
The,
remember my mom talking over the backyard fence with her next door neighbor.
That's funny. Did you guys have any neighbors you didn't like? You butt heads with?
I don't remember any, do you?
what's that?
Did you have neighbors that you didn't get along with?
No, I think you did. We got along pretty good.
Good.
You kinda had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got along pretty good, that's that we go.
Well, I remember being fairly young. See, every Sunday we were able to go to the movie. It was like 12 cents to go. And we would walk all the way to the theater and back. And I remember being pretty young, walking home from that theater by myself, but being scared to death the whole time. But I remember that. I don't know how old I was.
Did you go to the movies, Dad, when you were, did
Oh,
you
yeah.
and your friends go?
Yeah, we always went to movies on the weekends, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, it was a cheap entertainment,
Yeah.
and we went, what did you say, 12 cents?
Oh
Something
my
like
Yeah,
gosh.
it was, yeah.
What was minimum wage then?
I don't even think they had minimum wage back then. I think they didn't call it minimum
What
wage.
did you get paid an hour?
Yeah.
I think like.
Well, my
10
dad
cents
always
an
had
hour?
a job.
Okay.
He always had a job. And your parents did too, didn't they?
Well, my dad worked for the WPA, which was Works Public Assistance.
President Roosevelt
So they
started
gave him
it,
a
yeah.
job, and apparently, on occasions,
They
they
started
dig a hole
depression.
and then cover it back up. Didn't do
Just so,
anything.
Doing something.
this was a way of giving people a
didn't do
job
anything, but
during
they
the
had to-
Depression.
Something to
Oh
do.
Yeah.
wow,
then
that's very nice
This
of
one
him.
Yeah.
uncle who died on my mother's side, he would work for the CCC. What was that?
I don't
Good
know,
farm.
I don't know what that was.
Conservation Corps. or
Conservation
something.
Corps, yeah.
They did a lot of the
And
national
they
parks.
did a lot of work in the forest and
Now, who worked for CCC?
out in
Alton.
you got the two pictures of the two families?
I'll see if I can find it. But,
Anything else from your childhood? Let's see.
I had a question, just
Yeah,
in general, we've talked about before how things are different, now than then, and one of them was on here, it was like you all talking about, you didn't have broccoli or salad.
Oh, no.
How
Oh,
did you
my.
eat different than you do now, would you say?
well, our vegetables were either cabbage or green beans or navy beans, carrots, potatoes,
Hmm.
yeah. But I don't remember having broccoli or
Cauliflower.
asparagus or cauliflower.
Really?
Couldn't afford
Oh,
cauliflower.
we had cauliflower. We did.
Couldn't
I
afford that.
remember Mom having that.
It was all canned.
Yeah.
Everything was canned in cauliflower.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
don't remember
I
that.
don't remember seeing fresh cauliflower for years.
You had canned cauliflower? That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever eat canned spinach
Yeah.
as a kid? Oh my gosh.
But your mom told me one time though, that it was, if it wasn't for the farm during that time, they don't know what they would have done, cause all the food came from the farm, fresh.
That's where the cabbage came in, the
Yeah.
greens. Dad would,
Well, yeah, we would have greens, kale and spinach, yeah.
Well, talk about the farm a little bit, because, okay, whose was the farm and,
well, I spent 2 or 3 summers on the farm when I was 13, 14, 15 years old. And I went as soon as school was out and stayed till school started again. And Jeff took care of me.
Your
And
uncle.
Grandma and Grandpa were there. And Grandma was disabled. She could barely walk. In fact, she got to the point where she couldn't walk.
Yeah, she ended up in a wheelchair. She had arthritis.
And she went to the restroom down in the yard and up the hill. And by the time she got back, she had to go again.
Oh no.
Oh, man.
It was rough. And she got open the store doors at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and started the cooking, and cooked all day until about 2 o'clock, and then quit.
Mm-hmm.
And we never had a meal at dinner time. We had meals, but
The
left
food was
over.
always
Left over.
left on the stove.
There was
Yeah.
what do they call it? It was a sheet, a board.
Yeah,
You know, you used a board to cut the
like a cutting board?
with the help me
I don't know.
the biscuits.
Oh, the biscuit
The
board.
biscuit
Oh,
board,
Mhm.
and then they used it, and then we used it, and it went on the top of the flour. Can you help me? Flour bin.
Okay.
Oh,
It was probably about 40, 50, 60 pounds of flour in that, you know, when it was full, and we picked it up and ate our dinner probably at 4 o'clock, and then went to bed at dark. I couldn't stay up to listen to the what was a good show?
Hit parade. You
Hit
were really
parade.
mad because you couldn't stay up and listen to the hit parade.
Had to
Had to go to bed
at 4
when-
o'clock, at 8 o'clock.
Well,
When were you able to fall asleep?
Well,
Yeah,
they
so-
went to sleep when the sun went down and got up when the sun got up.
Did you have
It was
any other
sun up, sun down.
cousins staying out at the
Yeah,
farm with
Ronnie
you?
stayed with me a
Oh,
couple of
yeah.
years, yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
were good friends.
All right.
And then your other cousin still lives in Indianapolis. He used to go all the time.
I can't remember him going when I was there, but he went through the years. Jost lived here
Uh-huh.
in Indianapolis,
It's his aunt.
and he, you know, the
Joe's was his mother.
kid didn't any chance to take care of him, because they, what am I trying to say? I have my
Yeah.
speech impediment.
You're doing fine.
You're doing really good, actually. I can't eat. The biscuit board. I never heard that word in my
Me
entire
neither.
life. So.
But that's one thing we would always do when we went to my grandma's house. We would always raid her biscuit drawer because they were so good. They always made biscuits.
So everybody
back
always
then.
had biscuits.
Uh-huh.
Yes. I remember you
So-
making biscuits all the time when I was little.
Yeah.
And I remember your grandma, my great grandma. I remember being out at the farm. Must have been a family reunion or something. And I remember her cornbread. I remember that cornbread and the iron
Yeah.
things. I didn't like that kind of cornbread then. I probably love it now.
Mm.
But I remember that.
Remember we were out there and the boys threw a year's worth of pig's food to the pigs, and Grandma almost
A year's worth.
and one of them came running in with the egg. Says, "Look what I found in the hen house. There's an egg." We were city people.
We needed to learn a few things.
One of the kids.
Yeah.
Which kid threw the pig food out there?
All
No.
the boys.
Oh.
Like
Well,
Paul,
I tell
Donnie,
one of
Pat,
Juanita.
Sam.
I tell one on Juanita, she was sitting in
Really?
the front seat of the car, and I think I was driving, and Bob was sitting on the other side of the car,
Yeah.
and she was sitting in the
Who's this? I missed the first
Juanita.
one.
Bob's,
Oh, Bob's wife.
Bob's
Yeah, Bob's
wife.
wife.
and
Bob's
she
his
was
brother.
real amazed that those looked like little
The
pickles.
cucumbers look just like little
Little
pickles,
pickles.
she said. We were really from the city.
Oh
We
She
went
man.
to-
didn't know she didn't know where cucumbers came from.
These
That
look
is
just like
so
little pickles.
funny.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, wow.
we had a lot of help from the farm.
Yeah.
And my Aunt Boki, which was Mom's dad's sister, she had a job at the, and pretty good one. I probably made $8 a week. For the
That's about what they made.
telephone company. And they had to, you had to stick the thing in the, you ever seen
You've
it?
seen the telephone thing where you had to stick the thing,
Had to
that was
stick
her
it in the
job.
thing.
Oh, wow.
Switchboard,
That's
yeah.
right, yeah.
And she lived with you guys for a while.
Yeah,
How long did
she
she
worked
live?
for, and we got the recipe for meatballs on him, from her.
Yeah.
Her husband was an
Yeah,
Italian.
that's the meatball
Our
recipe.
famous spaghetti and meatballs, huh? All right.
Well, you know what, your mom would always just have a fit, cause I was told this, I don't remember it myself, but about your dad bringing boarders from the country. Here he'd come from the country bringing another guy to live with him.
Really?
He would bring him to Louisville to get jobs.
Oh, okay.
So his dad was always bringing people in on Grandma.
We probably had 8 or 9 people living with us.
Well, oh really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I remember when I was dating you, you had a boarder then. What was his name?
Walter Shanahan.
Walter Shanahan, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he was boarding with him when I
You
met
mean
him.
one at a time in succession, or you had
Eventually.
a bunch? Oh, okay.
No, they had 6 or 7 at a time.
Where did they put him?
Upstairs.
I don't know where the hell they went to. But to see if they could get a job.
He would bring him to Louisville. He was always wanting to help people, I guess, and he would bring him to Louisville to get a job.
Well, there were a couple of
Yeah.
good-sized rooms upstairs. I mean, they must have just had them full of
Well, there was.
beds.
Well, remember when you were, you told the story when you were little, there was no heat upstairs, and how you, tell them how y'all used to get in bed at night, because there was no heat up there.
Well, I'm lucky to be alive. Because
Because he was the youngest of 3
I was
boys.
the youngest of 3 boys, and I was always the first one in bed, and my mother would heat the blanket, and we'd run up the stairs, and she'd throw it on the ground and on
On the bed.
the sheet, and cover me up. And then Bob would come in, and Jim would come in.
They were
and
older.
I went down to bed, and they came up. And there I was, lucky to be alive. And
What do you call that?
Jim was selfish. He's the most selfish man.
Pete is
He really was.
the oldest boy.
He
He wouldn't let you have any of his popcorn or
wouldn't have
anything, would he?
popcorn, no, wouldn't.
He would pop popcorn, not let them have a bite.
But
He still
he
knows
would,
popcorn.
in the summertime, he'd get to bed by himself.
Oh, really?
In the wintertime, he came in with us.
Oh,
He didn't
But you
didn't
know,
mind that at all.
I remember my brother, the oldest brother, heating my pillow and having me run to the bed real fast so I could get warm. Because you only had a stove in one room.
yeah. Oh, man.
You only had one room, and it was
Things
a
are better now.
Pot-belly stove. It was a pot-belly stove,
Yeah.
and it kept that room very, very warm,
Yeah,
if
it
not,
was.
if not hot. But then one door over, it was cold.
Well,
And-
Mom let me stay home from school one day. I don't know why she let me stay home. I must have been begging or something. But there wasn't anything wrong with it. I wasn't sick or anything. But we were playing around and my arm hit the pot stove, and I got a burn all up and down here. And Mom put my arm in some tea water to get the sting out, and it worked. But anyway, I was all bandaged, and I went back to school the next day, and I was a star. I mean, I was an absolute star because my arm was bandaged, and sister felt so sorry for me because I had to stay home with that burn. But I remember getting so much attention.
But you never told him that.
Yeah,
that
no,
you
it's
didn't.
too.
You didn't stay home due to the
That's
burn.
so funny.
You got the
I
burn.
didn't tell her, but I got so much attention.
That's great. Well, tell us what schools did you go to?
Yeah.
well, my first school was St. George in Louisville, in the Parkland area. And I went to St. George until I was in the second grade. I made my communion at St. George there, so I must have finished the second grade. And then we went to third grade to St. Cecilia's.
No, you went to St.
Oh,
Columbia.
well, St. Columba for a couple of months because we lived with Mom's cousin for a couple of months, and then St. Cecilia's, and I graduated 8th grade from St. Cecilia's from the 3rd grade on up.
And I
But-
went to St. Columba, which was about 6 blocks from home. And I had to ride my bicycle to work to school for 8 years. And we had an interesting thing when Grandma just told you live and went to St. Columba for a very short time. Most likely, Shirley was in my room.
Yeah, because they were the same grade.
We were in the same
They
age.
were right in the-
So you would have
and
been about how old?
about probably in the 4th to 5th grade, and she was was separated by alphabet, and
Barker.
Corbett
and
Hosek.
A and B's were on the same
Shirley was probably in
same
the
side, and was called the A and the B, and Shirley was probably in my room.
I hated St.
Yeah.
Columbus School.
Oh,
They were
yeah.
so strict, and
That's interesting. They were stricter than where you went before. huh?
yeah, they were, well, yeah, St. George wasn't strict, neither was St. Cecilia's, but St. Columbus was extremely strict. And I was a talker, I liked to talk, and I got in trouble every day. I had to stand in the corner several times, because I wouldn't keep my mouth shut. And, but anyway, I was just a little kid.
Aw. Those
But I
schools, they
remember
can be
getting in
rough,
trouble.
man. They can be rough. So what's your memories of St. Columba, Dad?
They were strict, weren't they?
Strict, yeah. You
They
had-
marched through the halls like
you had
little
to- you had to
soldiers.
march to the restroom, and everything was marching. And we went to school, church every morning.
Yeah, we went to church every morning, yeah. But at St. Columba, were they Ursuline nuns?
I think so.
Yeah, they were Ursuline. Well, St. Cecilia's, they had charity nuns, and they weren't as strict.
But I was a grandnoser because I got along good.
They liked you.
Yeah.
I got along with the teachers.
Yeah.
I never caused any trouble, never any trouble. I never did have any trouble. I never did anything wrong in my, I never done anything in my life that I even, if I had to go to confession, I probably wouldn't know what to tell them.
Except that one time, but you felt really, really guilty when you were a teenager out with a bunch of boys.
Yeah.
Remember
And
that?
I would-
And you said you never would have done that if you weren't by yourself.
Okay, I have to know.
we
They were teenagers.
stole something. What was it?
I don't know, I don't remember now. Some kind of vending machine,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
vending machine.
But you
Oh.
didn't do it.
I wouldn't have done it.
Who were you with?
I don't know. Bob Scott.
And what are they gonna
Jim
do with
Reed.
the vending
Oh,
machine?
Jim Reed and Bob Scott.
They
and-
probably dumped it by the side of the road somewhere.
But I would never, I didn't, I just never did anything.
Well, you had a strict mother.
Yeah, and
Remember when I
got
was dating you and I gave you a cigarette lighter for Christmas and your mom didn't know you smoked?
Oh,
I had to tell her.
that's funny.
But she smoked. Don't think-
Yeah, but she didn't want you to.
She didn't want me to.
She quit though. She eventually quit.
How long did you smoke for?
How long did you smoke?
From 15 to about 36.
Did you smoke, Grandma?
Well, a little bit.
You smoked
Not a
weed
whole
a
lot.
Yeah.
Like a social
I never
type
was.
thing?
Yeah, kind of like a social thing.
Mm-hmm.
My
And,
mother would have killed me if she
I
saw
quit,
me.
and
'Cause she didn't like girls
She was
smoking.
still smoking when I quit.
Well, did I have the bridal shop? That might have been it.
Stress.
That might have been it. No,
And,
I didn't, I wasn't really ever a smoker. I didn't like it that much.
Dad, tell that story about how you quit and then you started again one time because you were out somewhere and I think they put a tray in front of you.
Oh,
Tell
we
us.
went to I don't know whether you ever been one, but Rat Skelter. It was a
Oh.
beer joint, a manufacturer. And
That was in Louisville.
they
though.
had an
But they have
area,
one.
and
Yeah.
they would use it for
Yeah, they,
for a what am I trying to say? Union meetings,
Oh,
almost any kind of a meeting you had, but you got the free beer. And I quit smoking January 1st, just because it was January 1st. And I was playing softball and considered myself pretty good. And so I quit and went to that damn route scouter. And it'd been about 8 months. And I went that night. They put cigarettes in a box about this high, and you could smoke all you want, and all the beer you wanted.
it's a bad combination.
Got me,
That'll do it.
got me hooked again.
well, my brother and Grandpa used to play softball together. My brother was a pitcher and he was a catcher. And see, they worked at the same place, L&N Railroad office.
So was this like through work or was it?
Through work,
Okay.
they had a club, a sport club there. It was a lot of fun.
Was that called the Toro Club or was that?
No,
No,
that
that
was a
was-
different club.
That was
This,
just a social club.
what did they call the L&N club? They had a name for it. But they used to have dances. We would go to their dances, and
Oh, we had.
he played ball. And then we took a trip to Birmingham one time because you had a championship. And we weren't married at the time, but we all went as a group, and I had plenty of chaperones. I mean, I was with all the ladies.
Oh,
So,
we didn't talk about how you met.
Yeah.
oh,
talk
how
about
we
a little
met?
bit.
Well, I knew his name before I knew him. I had heard the name Pete Corbett.
Yeah.
And I had a friend named Mary Elmore, and she always thought she could do more than me, so. But anyway, she liked Pete Corbett, and I thought to myself, I bet I can get Pete Corbett away from her. So I knew you before, I knew your name before you,
We were only.
and then
about.
we used to get together at this ballpark, there was
It's
an
2 blocks
ice cream, yeah. See, I lived on Duncan, and then this was,
round.
and that's where the ballpark was and the ice cream store. And Grandpa lived on Main, so there was Duncan, Round, Main.
Huh.
And so all the kids would go to this ballpark and go to Helen's ice cream bar. So I think that's the first time I saw you was at Helen's ice cream bar.
I would think so.
And I remember you were playing the pinball machine, and normally you came in. His sister came in and says, "Mom wants you home now," and you wouldn't go. Remember, you wouldn't go.
I
And
just
she
told
says
him I'm good.
Norma says you better go now, and you wouldn't go. I think you wanted to stay with me and show me how to play the pinball machine. Oh, Lord, the things you can remember. But you had a lot of fun playing ball, I think.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And you said you were around 15? 14, 15,
Well,
16?
she was 15, I think, and
yeah.
I was about 17.
Yeah,
Okay.
15 and 17. And I remember you calling me one day. I can't remember how you said it, but you said it in a kind of funny way where I had to put 2 and 2 together, that you broke your arm playing basketball. Remember?
I remember playing, breaking my arm,
Yeah.
playing basketball. It was an intramural
Mm-hmm.
at the high school, and the damn football captain, I blocked his ball shot, and he outweighed me by 80 pounds, and he just flipped me, and
Oh.
I went down
Which
and
arm?
broke it right in half.
Oh, you were
Where'd you break
playing,
that?
you were,
Which arm where'd you break that? Oh, on your, like a.
Right on
wrist?
the wrist.
Ooh.
you mean the coach was playing with you guys, or?
No, he was a player. He was
You said a football though.
he was a football player
Oh, he was a football player
Yeah.
playing basketball.
playing basketball,
Oh,
and he shouldn't have been playing with me because I weighed 80 pounds less than he did.
yeah. Well, I remember going to the football games when you went to Flash A. Remember we would go to the football games and they would say, the other team would say, it's gonna be Flat J, not Flash A. It's gonna be Flat J. And we would say, no, it's not.
So Dad's high school was Flash A.
Flash A.
Flash A.
Flash A High School. It was all boys.
Flash A. Well, Dad, I remember you telling me about having a job in high school. I don't know if you were something you actually got paid for, or you just got volunteered, but to help
It helped
in
pay
the
his
office
tuition.
somehow.
I-
What-
It paid your tuition.
I
didn't
went
it?
to school in the morning and sat in the office with the principal, and I had the best fun in my life because those guys would come up with some kind of a damn excuse for something.
Oh, the
and-
kids
and
are
he
coming
knew-
into
He
the
knew
print.
exactly what they were doing. He could get anything away from anything.
So you were there during the disciplinary
I
times
sit
of
right
other
beside him.
boys?
I was right beside him,
Yeah.
and I went for him anything he wanted. I'd go get it for him,
Yeah.
and I got my tuition for a paid, and it was $50.
Yeah, it paid your
That's pretty
tuition
good.
working
That
like
That was
this.
a lot of money
That's pretty
for the year.
Yeah.
$50 for the year.
Wow.
Wow.
Who was the principal then?
Brother Ricardo. He was the principal, and it was so funny. They tried to con him, some damn story, and he knew exactly what they were doing. They couldn't con him one bit.
So what other jobs did you guys have when you were teenagers? Did you-
Oh my God. That
I
one
had-
job I had, remember I had to come home, you had to rub my feet. It was awful. I had a job in a restaurant and I had to cook the food, dip the ice cream, wait on people. And I was really young. I guess I was 16 years old. I would be so exhausted when I got home. And we were dating. And I get home and I'd lay on the couch and he'd rub my feet. They would be so sore. I remember that job. I don't know why I did that. I think
I
Mom
had-
told me to
I
quit.
had a job at Jake Gold's.
Yeah.
He's the one that I sit on the sugar.
Oh,
He
I'll
sold
tell
it.
that story.
He sold it, and
Well, it was during the
but
Prohibition.
you had bicycles with handlebars like this,
Mhm.
and you hold the and then balance the
Put the sugar
Oh,
there.
groceries and took
Oh,
them.
it's stuff, grocery,
took 'em
it
to
was a
the-
grocery store you
Oh,
worked
it
for?
was a grocery store you worked for.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, it was the grocery store.
And the other story is on the.
Oh, you better not tell that one story.
Yeah,
No,
well,
I wanna hear, I wanna hear that, I wanna hear that.
No.
Here now.
When he was real little during
Oh,
Prohibition.
Well, you gotta tell that, listen, that's nothing that anybody else, I mean, look at all the
Yeah.
distilleries down there right now, so just, everybody did that, so.
it was for
His dad would hoard sugar, wouldn't
he.
he?
He took the back seats out and filled it with sugar, probably about 20 bags that were 100 pounds So we had 2,000 pounds of sugar in the back, and my sister and I sit on it, so that the policemen come riding by, they couldn't see whether
They
the
think
sugar
you-
in
The
there
sugar was for moonshine?
for moonshine
Mm.
And then where'd you take it? Down in the
to
country?
the country
Down to the
somewhere,
farm?
and he sold it to somebody.
Oh, I see.
So your dad didn't make moonshine, he supplied?
Supplied the
He's a
sugar.
supplier.
He didn't make it, did he?
He didn't make it, no.
He made a lot of money though,
And Dad
with the
was,
sugar.
he was an entrepreneur. He didn't work though.
He saw an
He's the
opportunity.
best I ever saw. And in fact, the Corbett's were, and I'm one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I come home and I sit down and I don't move. And that's what the Corbett's did. They went home, sit down and didn't move. And Dad and Jeff was the best I ever saw. He was
Jeff
he was
never
an
married.
entrepreneur, so he owned a lot of equipment. The other people would come use his equipment, and they bale his hay and pack it and put it in the barn, and he never turned his foot over. But
Or his
he
hand on.
used his entrepreneurship to
He knew
them-
how to delegate, huh?
to get the work done, but he didn't do it. He was
Jeff never married, did he? Jeff didn't marry.
no.
There were
In fact-
several of his
in fact,
father's
that,
siblings didn't marry.
As far as having children, the oldest brother did not have any children. That's helped me. Willie,
Mhm.
and then Bradley did, and Lucille did, and Dad did. Tommy did not, and Jeff did not, and Jake did not,
And Treese.
and Treese did not.
Well, Treese was a nun.
None.
She was a nun.
And then
yeah.
Boki did, 2 boys, and Jost did, 3 boys, 2 boys and a girl here, lived in Indianapolis.
Mhm.
And then Grandpa and Grandma, my parents, went to Chicago one time, and what's his name? Joseph's husband. got
I've
him a
never
job.
known him.
And I think it was somewhere in a store, actually. I don't know whether it was
Yeah, your mom and dad moved to Chicago
moved
when
to
you
Chicago.
were
and
before you were born.
When you got married, if it wasn't there, it was some other time. We came through Chicago, and with
With your mom, and she showed us where they lived.
Aunt Lyra, and she found out showed us where she lived. I think the house was gone. But
Mhm. No, the house wasn't there.
And they lived close to Wrigley Field.
Okay.
How long did they live in Chicago?
Not long.
That's kind of a neat area around Wrigley Field, isn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, they weren't up in Chicago for too long. Was
Now,
it-
my dad was from the Fort Knox area, and then when the Army took Fort Knox, that's when they moved to Louisville.
Yeah, they took their land.
They had,
Yeah, that was a, I've read about that. I mean, they moved a lot of people off of that
Mhm.
land.
Wait, did the North or the South take that land?
Well, this was when they were creating Fort Knox. And what year about, how old would your dad have been?
I don't know. I really don't know that.
Well, your dad was born in 1900 and he grew up on that farm. So it was probably the 1920s or so
That's very
when they
Yeah.
they just bought, well, I mean, they bought and paid him something, but they
Yeah,
had to move.
You know, I never did know the details of all that. I just know that they moved to Louisville after they took their land. Fort Knox. So, do you have any?
I'm gonna hit
Questions
pause real
or-
quick.